And welcome to the We Like Sports Show. I'm your host, Ed in Columbus, with my guys, Keith and CJ. What's up, fellas? NFL Week 1 it's almost concluded. We got one more game tonight with the Jets and Bills, and we'll bring on a special guest to preview that one. But, Keith, tell me about Week 1 in the NFL. I know you're a Cleveland Browns fan. I am as well. I know you are, CJ. Hey, we got to be feeling good after 1-0, correct, fellas?
Yes, sir. We gave Cincinnati a can of whoop ass. Gave them a taste of their own medicine. All that stuff talking about the elf team and all that. And look who became the biggest elf.
Yeah, Cleveland is Cleveland. I just saw on Twitter Chris Jones coming back for the Chiefs.
Okay. Breaking news, breaking news. CJ's breaking
CJ news.
I said that on my NFL observation too last night. I
just saw that.
Well, I got break-ed news. I know this has nothing to do with the National Football League, but the National Basketball Association, one Tristan Thompson will be in a Cleveland Cavaliers uniform this year. So,
yes, sir.
So we're bringing that home. But let's do a little housekeeping to make Peyton Vince, not Vince Peyton, happy. We'll do that right now. And do you need a pre-workout? We Like Sports and Titan Nutrition have teamed up. Head on over to titannutrition.net / We Like Sports. Get 10% off your order. And Casey's not here right now, but we'll show off the guns that
he's flexing somewhere.
He's flexing somewhere. So shout out to Casey and shout out to Titan Nutrition. And also, don't forget to check out the Snooze You Lose podcast with Uncle Joe, the Black Bookie. He has you set for your Sunday Snooze You Lose pick of the week. And yesterday, he picked the Jacksonville Jaguars, and they went into Indianapolis, and they got the job done there. So I think he was 6-1. So I think now that he's 7-1. So check him out because he'll put more coin in your purse, and that's always a good thing. So, and also too, we have a new sponsor over at Official League. They got some nice lids as well, so you want to check them out as well. So that takes care of the housekeeping. And I just want to, talk more about, as a Browns fan, it was been since 2004 that we got a opening day win at home. I know Baker Mayfield and Cade York got it done in Carolina, but this was a good feeling because you start the season out at home and you beat a divisional opponent that's picked to win the division. I mean, the Cincinnati Bengals, by most prognostications, are picked to win the division. So you take care of them. You go up 1-0. You only play 6 divisional games. Now you're going to Pittsburgh. You're feeling really good about that defense. So, CJ, tell me what you liked about the Browns' defense the best. Tell me about, Cleveland's a tough city, and the defense is tough. What do you like about the Cleveland Browns defense?
I think I liked it all, what I saw. The line was able to get home with 4. They were able to stuff the run. The corners played well on the outside with not much help. It's one of those things where, like last year, that there's times even watching the game, Schwartz is bringing heat when you're used to Woods sitting back in coverage and kind of like, they need 8. They're gonna hit a guy 6 yards away and he gets another 5. So I think it's stuff like that. They're out there taking chances for the first time under Stefanski on D. And you got the guys. Emerson's playing well. Delbert like some nice hits. You got Ward and Newsome. Garrett stepping up huge at the end, just fucking sealing it with the sack. So I just you watch the game and you feel good. I know the offense. I felt good about the offense too. I thought the offense looked really good in the second half. And when you're able to take that, I know it kind of seems like we have the Bengals number, but anytime you're able to go, and now you're coming in, you saw what the Niners did to Pittsburgh, and you're going on the road to Pittsburgh. You feel good about playing Pittsburgh. You guys shot to be 2-0. That's that feels great. I can't remember the last time the Browns started off 2-0.
Yeah, I believe it was under what maybe Belichick even. I think I was reading somewhere. It might have been even that long ago. So yeah, it's been quite a while since the Browns have started out a really good season. And you know what? You go 2-0, but the biggest thing is you're 2-0 in the division as well. If you go to Pittsburgh and win, I think that's the biggest.
And then you got Baltimore. I think
Baltimore coming up.
4 weeks, and they lose Dobbins. Your team. I mean, you're gonna lose guys throughout the year, but it's one of those things that you hold the Bengals to 3 points. Like, it just feels good. No close game, no letdown. You sealed it. It just feels good.
Yeah. Keith, we talked a little bit on your show pre and post game yesterday, but digesting it, 24 hours later. What is something about that Browns game that maybe we didn't talk about that you thought maybe was a key? Because I heard on the radio today, which I thought was really great, was we talked about Stefanski and how he kind of changed. The old Stefanski would have just kept chucking the ball, but he went with the run heavy. But also too, I believe it was the they were on about midfield. I think it was might have been late third quarter, and it was 4th and 2. And he punted the ball instead of going for it. And you know what?
Yeah.
I think what I like about this team, and to CJ's point with this defense is, now 4th and 2 with Stefanski, he was always he'd go for it, but now he can rely on his defense, like like the Ravens used to, like this. You punt them back. You now your defense you're playing a field position game because your defense is going to probably get a 3 and out.
Yes, and it's all about situational football.
Yeah.
Kevin Stefanski is finally starting to come around to situational football. Where yesterday, it was hell trying to throw the ball yesterday, flat out. Because Deshaun had problems throwing the ball, and Joe Burrow had problems throwing the ball. So they went with the cheat code. Nick Chubb. Something wrong with using Nick. And they relied on their defense. Because think about it. The Browns had 2 crushing turnovers in that game. Actually, the score should have been worse.
Right, with that the forced fumble and the tipped interception. It could have been disastrous, but the Browns. What the old Browns would have gave up a touchdown after that Deshaun Watson interception. That Ford fumble would have turned into that maybe them going down and getting field goals. But the defense just stepped up and said, "No, not today. We're shutting you out," basically, and that's what they basically did.
And you seen where Deshaun was like, after that interception, my bag. And the defense just like, hey, we got you. We got you. They ain't getting nothing.
Yeah, I like the point you made too about Stefanski. In the past, I look back at, I think it was that Saints game last year where that wind was so crazy. He just kept trying to throw the ball. And, he didn't do that yesterday. He didn't just try to be like, we're going to do this. We're going to, just give the ball to Nick Chubb. Sometimes let's not overthink this. Give the ball to Nick Chubb. Let Nick Chubb wear them down. They were playing field position. They had a couple short fields, and just give it to Nick Chubb. Let's not overdo this.
Don't overthink it. Don't outsmart nobody. Just use your cheat code.
And speaking of complimentary football, you can't overlook the special teams. Bojorquez with his punts, and then obviously D-Hop, Dustin Hopkins making his field goals. And how nice is it for a guy to go 3 for 3? But it wasn't like that Cade York crap. These suckers went straight through the uprights. It
wasn't the ball fucking
right.
And think about it. They did that during a driving rain, basically.
Yeah.
And part of the
missing kicks.
McPherson, yeah, exactly. They missed theirs. We made ours. And, especially when you're playing divisional opponents, I mean, sometimes those are the keys to the game. Obviously, it turned out to be a blowout, but, we're going to go down to Cincinnati the last week of the season. And you know what I'm saying? Having a field goal kicker that, from 45 yards in, can go 3 for 3. Hey, that's an added bonus because I don't think you have to worry about these 55-yard field goals. If you I believe a Cade York a lot of times would be like, oh, just get it within 55, 60. No, here's an idea. Why don't you just make it a manageable kick, 45 yards? You got a guy that's pretty much automatic, 85%, and you work on it that way. And I think that, I think Kevin Stefanski is starting to, realize that it is complementary football. It is a team thing. And like I said, with Jim Schwartz got some, some swagger. You look over and Kevin Stefanski sees Jim Schwartz's defense. He knows he's got a reputation of being a Super Bowl champion. You defer to that guy, and if that guy can shut down the other team, then hey, that's how you're going to win football games.
Yes, sir. Yes,
yeah.
sir. And the Browns learned something. And like I said, it takes time to get the coaching thing down sometimes. Plus, right now, a win is better than trying to be fancy and lose.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think Schwartz is going to prove to be a good pick. With Stefanski having his hands full so much of the offense, I think Woods got a little lost a lot of the time on defense.
Too exotic.
Schwartz had been a head coach. You're pretty much letting Schwartz be the head coach of the defense.
Yeah,
that's not only been in those positions, but he's been in the head coach shoes. That's what we need.
CJ, I couldn't have, or Vince Payton or whoever you are, I couldn't have said it better myself. You're right. When you're a head coach like that, you got to delegate. I think Stefanski finally managed the game. As a head coach, you need to manage the game. And when you don't have to worry about the defense and you got a guy that's proven like Schwartz is and you can let it in his hands, it makes it so much simpler to It just seems like the Browns, it seems like this. They made the right calls when they had to. They punted when they had to. It's like, I don't know. It's such a relief.
It was a weird thing for me. Like, I remember that Jets game last year thinking it was over. But when Hopkins made that field goal, they went up 13-3. The way the defense was playing, it's like this game.
I thought, I felt
they're
good.
Up 2 scores. It's not even the fourth quarter. Like, this game's over. Like
Yeah.
Bengals are not going to move balls.
Right, and the only thing that stops you from feeling that way is maybe being a Browns fan. But if you look at this team objectively,
I still did wait till even. Jake Browning was in the game. I was like, wait, we gotta still see it through.
Fair enough. That's fair enough. But you know what? We're all feeling good. We're all feeling it. You know, I'm hearing it. Do you guys hear it? I think I hear it. I think it's time for Breakhead News. That's right. That's right. This is in Columbus with your We Like Sports Breaking News. The NFL kicked off this weekend with the Cleveland Elves defeating Jamar Chase and the Cincinnati Bengals 24-3. Maybe Cleveland is Cleveland, but Jamar's performance came up shorter than the elf on the shelf he puts out during the holiday season. Michigan State has suspended head football coach Mel Tucker for allegedly sexually harassing a sexual assault awareness speaker who spoke with the Spartan team. So let me get this straight. Tucker sexually harassed a speaker speaking on sexual harassment. Is that like smoking weed with a DARE officer who comes into your classroom? If so, no names, please. And finally, can everyone please stop posting their fantasy football team rosters and outcomes on social media? No one cares. By the way, shout out to me for winning in week 1, defeating my cousin Tyler in Alabama. You got blitzed, cuz. This is in Columbus with your We Like Sports Breaking News.
Dun, 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 dun.
You might want to add another one to that. Apparently at MetLife, there's a shelter-in-place warning now in effect. They're not letting people on the field.
Really?
Well, the Jets game,
hey, CJ, I don't think they let the Giants on the field last night.
Woo! That wasn't a joke, but that was a good one.
That's like, hey, we're going to clip that one up. That was pretty good.
Yeah.
Hey, CJ, you know what that reminds me of? Remember the old alley-oop that Dwayne Wade and LeBron James have and what they're following each other and they're trailing? That's a meme right there, my guy. That's a meme.
I wasn't trying to drop that one. Yeah. Woo.
That was nice. That was nice.
What they do with this Jets and Bills game.
How about them Cowboys?
You know what? How about wow?
I'm just nervous. There was some bad Sunday night games last year where it was just like, woo, that was a beatdown.
And is that good for the NFL? Because as we've talked, Sunday night's the marquee game now. It's not Monday night anymore. It usually is a Sunday night game.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I feel like that was part of it last year. Maybe I'm mixing up with another year. I thought the Sunday night games last year were terrible.
I don't think you're wrong. I don't think you're wrong.
I remember the Thursday nights were really bad too. But I remember the Sunday nights just not being close last year.
Yeah, and that's unreal, uncharacteristic of it because usually they are the best games on and it's. I would.
That was another one though. Weather bad, but the Cowboys defense showed up.
But Danny Dimes did not look. Oh, jeez. Talking about quarterbacks that got paid, Joe Burrow got paid, Danny Dimes got paid, and you saw their first. Their first outcomes after that. That they got the bag, as the kids would say. They got the bag. And
I think the Giants are a real interest because, I remember watching them last year, thinking the Giants, on paper, stink.
Yeah, I
stink. If they're gonna pay Danny Dimes all that money, and who's his number one receiver? Isaiah Hodgins.
It should be the dude that they drafted
out of Tennessee, Hyatt.
Oh yeah, out of Kentucky.
Yeah, Hyatt should be
out of Tennessee. Hyatt. Yeah, but I just what I mean. These are your weapons for now. You're giving all this money.
Drew, one of our other co-hosts, Drew, when he gets on here, he's a big Giants fan. I think
we're going to need a state of the Giants from Drew.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be good. It's going to be.
Well, it's only one game, and
Oh, okay. Well, you know what?
Yeah, nobody overreacts after the first game.
Yeah, it's only one game.
No, but nobody overreacts. But we do have. It is time. We do have our special guest coming on from New York, the Bright Lights. New York, a city so nice they named it twice. Geoff Magliochetti. Come on, Jeff. Hey, what's up, my guy?
Hey, guys. How you doing? Thanks for having me on.
Pretty good.
What's going on, Jeff?
I have to ask you this because it is 9/11. So, I'm saying I want to, say something, to all the firefighters out there and all the service people and everybody that were there on that fateful day and everything. And I went to New York City 1 year after I took a vacation. I was in college. I went to New York City in 2002. And, I will say one thing. It's a beautiful city. And, I don't like your sports teams because I'm a Clevelander and they always seem to get in my way. But shout out to New York and shout out to everybody that made 9/11, special for us as a nation. So thank you, sir.
No, hey, appreciate that. I was not a first responder, so I had nothing to do with that. But at the same time, they deserve all of our respect, all our all our prayers, all our thoughts. And, the way that this country came together after that was just so inspiring. And, it just goes to show that, confronted with our worst, we responded with our best, or most of our best. So I really feel that, we could all learn something from that. It just proves to show that no matter what you throw at this country, we will make the best out of it. We will throw it back at whatever's attacking us, and we will make that the best out of it. So appreciate you saying that, and appreciate that at these acts of heroism are still remembered on this solemnest of days.
Amen to that. But let's get into some fun now. Let's get into some sports, because that's why we're here right now. So I see that you cover New Jersey high school sports. I love that. We will dabble into that a little bit later. But, obviously you cover the Jets as well. And they got a big game tonight against the Buffalo Bills. Just a little bit. Monday Night Football. So, okay. So I guess you know what? You're the expert on it. Give us a little preview and tell us why the Jets are going to be a playoff team this year.
What's so interesting about tonight's game is that both teams are facing different brands of pressure. With the Jets, it's interesting because, obviously they've decided to go all in on the Aaron Rodgers era. Now, Rodgers' verbal commitment to, opting to stay multiple seasons. So he claims anyway. Let's see what happens once we reach 2024 and beyond. It's interesting that the Jets have all this all-in pressure that some people decided to label this season as kind of Super Bowl or bust. Whether that's true or not, that's probably another conversation. But the Jets undoubtedly have some pressure, and they no doubt would like to make a good first impression tonight, especially with the crowd undoubtedly going to go crazy out there for the first game in what's a legitimately hopeful period on this franchise rebuild timeline. So we'll see what happens there. Buffalo, on the other hand, is also interesting. Buffalo's in that weird sense that, we've seen them win. We've seen them come out there. No team has won more in the new decade than the Buffalo Bills, other than the Kansas City Chiefs at this point. But what's missing from Buffalo's equation? Championships. And perhaps this is just, the New Yorker in me talking. I actually live in New Jersey, so same thing. But perhaps this is a tri-state area man in me talking. But the Bills strike me as a group that if what was going on in Buffalo was happening in any other locale, they would be getting labels of choke artists, can't win the big one. Buffalo kind of suffers and flourishes in a setting of kind of small market, huge fans. And, people, really kind of embrace the whole Bills Mafia thing. They have, likable players on the team. But at the same time, if this happened, say, I don't know, probably like Dallas or Los Angeles or places like that, or even Pittsburgh, people would be all over them at this point because what people would be labeling Josh Allen as a guy who can't win the big one. Instead, we got to hear how he's going to compete for MVP every year. So Buffalo is kind of getting frustrated over that. We saw some of that frustration kind of boil over with Stephon Diggs confronting Allen on the sidelines during the AFC divisional playoff game. And, I think Buffalo is more in like must-win situation than the Jets at this point. So these are two teams going through fateful campaigns that are really looking to make a good first impression moving forward. And for the Jets, that's going to be big because, they're kind of the underdogs here. I believe Buffalo's favored by 2. So, not the biggest deficit to overcome, obviously. But at the same time, the Jets would be wise to start off hot, to start off making a good first impression. One way to do that, do not be afraid to throw the deep ball tonight. Now, people are going to be wondering about the Jets and how this whole system's going to work with Aaron Rodgers. And, if they don't get the results that they want instantly, obviously people are going to pile on. Obviously, people are going to talk about, same old Jets. This is a dumpster fire already. But at the same time, that, any good team, any newly formed team with a lot of moving new pieces needs some chemistry, needs some time to get to know each other a little bit. But the Jets at the same time shouldn't be afraid to take chances tonight, shouldn't be afraid to throw the deep ball because of Buffalo's relatively light on primetime experience secondary. The cornerbacks right now for Buffalo appear to be somewhere along the lines of, Dane Jackson, Christian Benford, guys who are packed with potential but don't have, the primary experience some of their past guys guys have had, guys who have moved on, guys like Dean Marlowe, for example. So, and also, you looked at the safety pictures. Things haven't been quite the same since Tre'Davious White suffered that ACL injury. Kaiir Elam didn't play up to his first round of billing last season. So if you're the Jets, don't be afraid to take chances tonight. And it should be an interesting game. Looking forward to see what happens tonight out there over at MetLife, provided the storms hold off, of course.
Will the Jets show up because the Giants didn't show up last night at MetLife?
I mean, look, technically speaking, if the Jets kick a field goal, they will have outperformed what the Giants did last night. It's legitimately hard to get shut out in today's NFL. One that will worship offense, no matter how much they try to deny it, no matter how silent that worship of the offense is. That it's there. Let's not kid ourselves. It's there. The modern NFL worships a deity known as fantasy football, and it's very hard to get shut out in today's modern NFL. And for the Giants, for anything that could have gone wrong last night did go wrong last night. Yeah. It's just interesting that the guys who painted Jets in the end zones last night, they spent more time in the end zone than anyone on the Giants did. Except if you count the Giant defense chasing the Cowboys down, I guess. But the Giants can recover from that. I believe in what they got going with Brian Dable out there. That should be interesting to see how they recover. And of course the all but tanking Arizona Cardinals come in to visit next week. So that should be a good chance for them to get back on track. So I think that will only motivate the Jets to do better tonight. They'll know that they have to put on a show for basically what amounts to tri-state area football out there. They'll know that they'll want to pump up the crowd, pump up folks that, have been waiting a long time for this, because it's been a while since, both the Jets and Giants have been truly good, truly contenders. I want to say the last time the hype was perhaps this large was back in 2008 during the quote-unquote Brett the Jet season, when it got to be Thanksgiving and folks around these parts were talking Subway Series Super Bowl, because I think the Jets had just taken down an undefeated Tennessee Titans team that won with Kerry Collins for a little bit. And the Giants were, of course, in the midst of their Super Bowl defense. So, for the first time, there's some legitimate hope around both sides in metropolitan football. And you're seeing that, too, because, for the past 2 years, both games would play at 1 p.m. Now we're seeing more of them in prime time at this point. Look no further than tonight's Monday Nighter. So I feel like that the Giants no-show last night will only inspire the Jets to do further and makes this a much more exciting and a much more dangerous game, perhaps.
Now, everybody talks about, it's the sexy talk, obviously, is Aaron Rodgers, obviously, the new acquisition. Mm-hmm. But do the Jets have the best defense in the AFC East?
Ooh, wow. I think that's a good question. Now, I want to say the most valuable defense would probably go to New England, because they're a team that's there's a difference between best and valuable. We see it every year with all the MVP discussions. We're working through it now in the WNBA with Breanna Stewart or Asia Wilson and Alyssa Thomas. We look at it the lens last year in baseball with Aaron Judge and Shohei Ohtani last year. Heck, Judge is making his own case this year by his absence, as a matter of fact, if you want to talk baseball. But, going back to the NFL, New England probably has the most valuable defense, because they're kind of keeping that organization afloat a little bit while the offense kind of finds itself a little bit. The most legitimate offensive player in New England, the most legitimate offensive threat in New England, is probably Ramondre Stevenson at this point. So while Mac Jones and the receivers kind of find themselves a little bit. We saw a little bit of that with could Kendrick Bourne turn out to be a top target? Time will tell. But in terms of pure talent alone, I think the Jets, to answer your question, do have the best defense in the AFC East right now. And for a while, that defense was kind of, again, what's going on in New England, that was kind of sustaining them a little bit as they went through that carousel from the football underworld, from football heck out there, in terms of, Sam Darnold, Zach Wilson, elderly Joe Flacco, guys like that. They kept that team afloat, and it guided them to wins last year. But now that they got some legitimate weaponry out there, guys like Breece Hall, guys like Garrett Wilson, of course, some of Rodgers' old comrades from Green Bay, we're seeing now, of course, Dalvin Cook was a late signing to the Jets. we're seeing now that, they're becoming a more complete team after the defense was kind of sustaining this group for a while. So by far, I think the Jets, in terms of pure talent alone, Sauce Gardner obviously pushes them at or towards the top, perhaps not even just in the AFC, but perhaps the entire NFL. Whether they're the best defense in the NFL, that's a wider conversation, especially after what Dallas did last night. So I feel that they definitely have the best one in the AFC East, but in terms of value right now, in terms of which team, which team couldn't live without their defense, that'd be New England. But at the same time, it shows you where the Jets' spot is changing in the NFL power rankings to the point where they're a more balanced team. The defense doesn't have to, sack Josh Allen 5 times. The defense doesn't have to hold the opposing team to no more than 2 touchdowns. We're seeing this changing of the guard in the AFC East. So while New England has the most valuable and the Jets don't, it's actually a step in the right direction for Gangrene.
Yeah, I would agree with that. CJ Keith, do you have anything for Geoff?
Yes.
Hey,
Hey man, I'm sounding like I'm in the back. So what did you previously ask me? Because I had to go away for a phone call.
I was talking about the defense, but I'll throw out one real quick for Geoff. Obviously, Tom Brady goes to Tampa, wins the Super Bowl. Matthew Stafford goes to LA, wins the Super Bowl. Peyton Manning had gone to Denver a couple of years ago. Is Aaron Rodgers coming to the Jets? If it's not Super Bowl, is it a failure?
I hesitate to say failure because you look at the past Jets ledgers. This fan base is hungry for mere relevance at this point. But in terms of failure, I hesitate to say that because it's such a strong word, failure, in the sense that we've seen so many big budget projects, especially here in New York, go kaput. We've seen, look no further than the Knicks and Nets out in Manhattan, Brooklyn. How many times have we seen this team's going to be contender for years to come, only for it to blow up in their respective faces? But, I hesitate to say failure at this point, only because the Jets have had such a checkered history out there, only because they, weren't often willing to, dish out and, spend for the big quarterback, spend for that big signing. One example that always stands out to me is, in terms of, I believe it was 2020 yes, it was 2020 because, the question was, look, Sam Darnold showed some flashes at the end of the 2019 season. Should they, should they keep him and, spend elsewhere, or should they find an elite quarterback to come in?
We had that with Baker. In Cleveland.
Oh,
yeah.
So you know exactly. And
unfortunately, too well. I know too well.
And on a Cleveland note, that conversation was even more difficult because, let's be honest, Baker showed some flashes. Baker guided that team to a playoff win. And Chad Henne notwithstanding, he might have led them to an AFC title game. Sorry. But I feel that back in 2020, the big conversation was, should we build around Sam or should we find someone I'm on the team. This is what the Jets were saying. Should we build around Sam or should we, find an elite quarterback to help this group find itself a little bit? And the question was that they, technically speaking, had no choice in that because there were so many holes in the rest of the organization that, they had no choice but to go after other players. They had no choice but to say, build an offensive line, get back big on defense, especially after the Jamal Adams trade. So I feel that calling this a failure would be wrong in the sense that the Jets had a long way to get back. That if they could get 10 wins at least at the start, they'll be willing to call this a success. Now, ask me again this time next year if this is championship caliber. This is a process. This is a slow moving process. We might as well not just play the rest of the NFL season. Just put the Cowboys and whoever was big from the AFC yesterday in the Cowboys and the Browns. We might as well put the Cowboys.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, that'd be a great idea.
With that,
This is a long season. We might as well put Dallas and Cleveland in the Super Bowl and call it a day after. So let's not even play tonight's game.
That might be a reality.
It could be.
Look, the example I always bring up, I always remember I think it was either the 0-1 or 0-2 Carolina Panthers who beat Minnesota in their first game. That was when Chris Winkie was the quarterback. And then they lost their next 15. I had never seen anything like it then. I haven't seen anything like it since. And then John Fox came and kind of got that organization back on track. But in terms of right now, I'd hesitate to say no Super Bowl, no failure, because, the Jets are merely fighting for relevancy right now, and it's a long way back. Now, granted, if they turn into the Bills and they start to contend but can't win the big one, let's reopen that discussion.
Well, I got a question.
Shoot.
With you saying that, because I think it has to be the time is now for the Super Bowl for the Jets, because Aaron Rodgers is unpredictable, dude, and he's up there in age right now.
Well,
and so do you think the window's 1 to 2 years, or 2 to 3 years, or is it 1 year and we'll just see next year? I guess that's kind of what he's kind of alluding to.
Until proven otherwise, I think this is a multiple year window, because Rodgers himself has admitted several times that, he's like, this is not a 1 year thing. I want to be here. I want to stay here for the long haul. I feel that, he says he wants to stay here. Again, let's see what happens when it's time to make those kinds of decisions, because Rodgers is at such an interesting point in his career where, in terms of people liking him, your opinion's not going to change unless he does something drastically out of the blue, drastically crazy. Your opinion on Aaron Rodgers is not going to change. You either like him or you don't like him. And I think Rodgers knows that. And he's going to play with a sense of reckless abandon, of nothing to lose. But at the same time, with this Jets organization, Rodgers at his worst is perhaps better than the past maybe 10 Jets quarterbacks at their best. I don't have time to go through the whole list right now.
As a Browns fan, please don't.
But in terms, I do think this is a multiple year process, because this also goes to show how General Manager Joe Douglas kind of prepared for this, because what they've surrounded Rodgers with is a plethora of young talent that only seems to be hitting its peak. Guys like Sauce Gardner, guys like Garrett Wilson. These guys are elite young talents who have shown a lot of potential, and could not only keep Rodgers around, but if he falters, it's going to attract other talents to New York to say, look, you guys could play with this. Rodgers couldn't make it happen, and there's no reason to believe that he wouldn't at this point. Rodgers couldn't make it happen, but perhaps you can. So I feel that the Jets have built well enough to make themselves a premier destination for kind of years to come in the sense. So kudos to Joe Douglas for doing that. And in terms of Rodgers, look, Tom Brady, again, played till he was 45, 46? He's more than capable, Rodgers, at this point, of playing that long. And he said that he wants to do it. He said that he wants to stick around and do this. And again, all depends on what happens when it's time to put pen to paper, to sign that contract to extend his career further. But this is perhaps the happiest we've seen Rodgers in years. There for years there was just infighting in New York, in Green Bay. Infighting in Green Bay. He's mad at McCarthy. He's mad at management. But you watch Hard Knocks. I don't know why Rodgers was so scared of Hard Knocks, because
he's good at it. He's funny. I like him on it.
Oh, I don't think anyone didn't, because I don't know why Rodgers was so scared of Hard Knocks, because that was the best Aaron Rodgers commercial anyone could have asked for.
Great for his PR. He's a likable guy. Then it actually shows that he's a normal person for once, instead of the dark room and all that other crazy stuff. So yeah, we loved it. Everybody. I think the whole nation loved it. I think he should do more of that. And I think that winning with the Jets and endearing himself to fans and everything as he's gotten older. Now I've seen him after games. He seems to be more humble. Even last year with Green Bay, when he was getting interviewed, he seemed to say he appreciates things. I think he's finally getting to the point where he's appreciated his NFL career, and now the New York Jets get the best of Aaron Rodgers when it comes to his head, and now he's in a good place, and it's good for you on the football field. And I think it's going to translate into some good things for you guys.
That's actually a good point in terms of helping the Jets win, because if Rodgers is there, Rodgers seems like a nice enough guy, but at the same time he has an ego. And there'd be nothing that would kind of fuel that ego more a little bit, in the sense that, you helped the New York Jets win. You helped the Jets end their curse. You helped the Jets move on to the next step. You do it in Green Bay, that's fine and all, but
he's already done it too. But he's already, what I'm saying? Yeah, I see your point.
If it happens in Green Bay, it's like, okay, fine, but it's to this day, everyone in town will still argue, were you better than Brett? Were you better than Bart? Are you the true face of the Green Bay Packers? With New York, no matter how long or how short he stays, he has a chance to define this organization, to become the true face of the franchise down there, to truly be immortal, to take a cursed, downtrodden franchise like the Jets and push them at or near the top. So that's what makes this an interesting situation. And again, the Jets are a place where, again, it's New York. If you do something kind of silly off the field in New York, rest assured it'll get replaced by something else, whether that's in the world of sports or elsewhere, entertainment, politics. It's going to get swept under the rug by something else. Rodgers and the Jets are perfect for each other in the sense that Rodgers, from a public persona standpoint, unless he does something egregiously stupid, something unforgivable, no one's opinion is going to change on him. And he has enough talent at this point he still has enough talent at this point that to single-handedly help win games, because the Packers struggled with backups for years. So, it's good and he still has that brand of talent, still has enough to single-handedly push a team to a win. And it comes at a perfect point on the Jets franchise timeline, because again, Joe Douglas has curated and cultivated young talents for him to work with. And it should be one of the most intriguing storylines that the NFL has to offer this season.
Well, speaking of go ahead, Keith.
So where do you think the Jets stack up in the AFC East?
AFC East, I think they realistically should win this division, because I think they'll win it. But I think that here's where the disappointment comes in. Is this Jets team going to be enough to win a playoff game? That is where the issue lies. Because, look, I'm not denying that they can make a crazy run to the Super Bowl. We've seen it over the past years. The Bengals went from doormats to in the Super Bowl in the span of a year. Very good. It can be done. But what the Bengals did, I feel, is more of an anomaly. This Jets team needs some time to kind of get itself together a little bit, which is another reason why I feel this is a multiple-year process and why I feel Rodgers kind of feels the same. Because talent alone, aura alone, kind of like what's going on through the organization, this team should win the AFC East. The Patriots, kind of a mess right now. Is Mac Jones the guy? Is Belichick going to break the record in a Patriots cap? Again, sorry, Ed, Browns and all. But the Bills, they're another one. Is this the year? Is Stephon Diggs going to be happy? Is Josh Allen's multi-faceted talent going to get him hurt at some point? We saw it last season. Buffalo has questions there. Miami, good win yesterday. Tua Tagovailoa, is he going to stay healthy? Miami always has so much talent, always looks so impressive at times. Can they sustain that? The Jets right now, in terms of the AFC East, are the team with the fewest questions at this point. But in terms of succeeding in the playoffs, I think they need to have some time together. They need to progress forward. And the AFC is chock full of quote-unquote established contenders right now.
Yes.
A little more needs to say about what's going on in Kansas City. The Chiefs have, won their Super Bowls, and they brought back most of that championship core. And look, Patrick Mahomes is going to find a way to make.
They'll figure it out. He'll figure it out. Like if we're comparing him to Tom Brady, this is his era where Rashay Caldwell and Jabbar Gaffney were his best receivers. Right.
It's kind of similar to that. So Kansas City, they'll figure it out. You look elsewhere, Cincinnati, you have to figure. With all due respect, they might figure it out. Baltimore, they're another team. They have a solid core. They'll want to make some noise. And Jacksonville, as a matter of fact, too. They kind of looked shaky yesterday, still pulled out a win. They're growing. They're maturing a little bit. Can the LA Chargers find a way to kind of get to right the ship a little bit? But at the same time, there are a lot of cores out there that have been together a while in this AFC. So it might take some time for the Jets to get to know each other a little bit. Continuity is a key aspect of a championship stew out there. It's a key ingredient. So I feel that the Jets might need a year or two to kind of get to know each other a little bit, kind of get used to each other a little bit. Again, it's possible they make the jump. The Bengals prove that. To Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase Bengals, they prove that. But what the Bengals did, again, not the norm. The Jets might need a year or two. So while I feel that they're fully capable of winning AFC East, I'm a bit worried at this point in time in terms of them succeeding in the playoffs. Again, 17 weeks to prove me wrong, but let's see what happens. 18 by week.
Is Robert Saleh the right man for the job to get this done?
In
Ed,
terms
you
of
must have been reading my mind.
You know what? Because it's all about leader. You know,
That's what I was
Aaron
thinking.
Rodgers doesn't really need coach. He does his thing. I think this Jets defense is obviously it's really, really good. Your Jets defense is really, really good. But is Robert Saleh is he the right guy to take on this this fun that's happening with the Jets? Because it should be fun. I mean, you know, we talk about, you know, it's something that they got to do, but it's a fun time for Jets fans. It's a fun time for Aaron Rodgers. It should be a fun time for everybody in the NFL when, you know, when the Jets are good, just like me. I don't like it. And it's funny that you say that. I always say when you're saying the Jets are downtrodden, they're this me versus the world. It's like kind of like the Browns, but Cleveland's a mid-market team. And you got New York with all these buildings, and it's New York, and the Jets are one of those teams that are, you know, they're the underdogs, and then woe is me. But it's funny to hear people say that, but you're right. If you look at the Jets' history, they are that team. You got Big Blue over there, the Giants with those 4 Super Bowl rings. So it is kind of funny for you to say that. But I want to see the Jets succeed. I think it's good for the NFL. It's fun. I want to see the Browns succeed as well. But
Hey, don't sell yourself short. I've been to Cleveland. Quick story. I went there as a gift for my parents for my 8th grade graduation. I was obsessed with watching the Drew Carey show in syndication.
Okay, all right, nice.
I really enjoyed that. So it's a good city. Don't sell yourself short. And they've given New York more than a headache or two. I still remember Baker Mayfield, first game ever, opening the Bud Light fridges.
Against the Jets, Thursday night football.
I remember saying when it happened last year when the Yankees played them in a 4-game set and they took 3. I was like, wow, no better way to say goodbye to the Cleveland Indians turning into the Guardians than being a thorn in the Yankees side one more time. Because 98 they gave a scare when I was 6 years old.
You know what?
They did.
I remember that it went to 6 games. I remember the Indians hitting back-to-back home runs. I think that was game 4, and it's like we almost hit whatever like that. Maybe it was game 2, but it was.
I think it was game 3.
Yeah, it was game 3. That's
game 3 was. It was game 3.
Game 2 was the Travis Fryman incident.
That's right.
The Travis Fryman Chuck Knobloch incident where, you know, he picked up 3 extra bases because Knobloch wouldn't pick up the ball. But
even in game 6, the deciding clincher for you guys were up like 6-1, and Tomey hit a grand slam and made it 6-5. I remember watching that game. I mean, those were fun times. I love New York. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I'm always a big New York fan. I don't like it that they always seem to beat my teams, but it's a beautiful city. And it, you know, I do like your sports franchises because the drama that you guys have with it's always fun. And you know what? First Monday Night Football game ever was the Jets at the Browns. So there's always history there too. So I love it.
Jets Browns is also historic because they met on Monday night a few years later, and that was the one start that Luke Falk made as a Jet. And I remember Odell Beckham taking a long touchdown there. And it looks like you're in Columbus, so
I am actually
I'm a diehard Rangers fan, and I remember for a while the Rangers Blue Jackets was kind of an intense rivalry.
It was a little bit, yeah.
And Rick Nash would always come to town, and I was like, wow, he's the face of your franchise, and you're booing him. Okay,
you took Panarin from us. I don't like that.
That's true. Thank you for that, by the way.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Hey, Geoff, I do got one quick question. This is related to baseball, real quick.
Far away.
Will the Yankees finally get rid of Aaron Boone after this season?
Oh, he's a big Yankees fan. Keith is a big Yankees fan. He wants Aaron Boone gone. Is Aaron Boone going away?
Should they get rid of him? Yes.
Yeah.
Will they get rid of him? No, because the modern Yankees strike me a lot as like the modern Dallas Cowboys. They're in a sense where, you know, they have championship aspirations, but the historic championship aspirations, but lately they've seen more content on, you know, causing as little trouble as possible and merely contending. That's what Boone does. Boone doesn't attack people. He doesn't really go after his players in press conferences, whatnot. Boone is a safe option. And I feel that, and the unfortunate part too is like the side effect to all this winning all of a sudden, you know, obviously it stopped. It kind of stopped. They dropped 2 out of 3 in Milwaukee. But the downside of kind of bringing the kids up is that management will go, oh, so it wasn't the manager. It wasn't the general manager. It was just didn't have the kids up. So let's run it back another year. And nothing personified more to me the state of modern Yankees baseball than this winter than when they bring in Carlos Rodon. And management flat out says, I forget exactly who said it. It was either Brian Cashman himself, or Hal Steinbrenner, who said something along the lines of, oh, don't worry, we're not done. We're not done after getting Rodon. And then they proceeded not to make another move for the rest of the offseason, more or less. So should Aaron Boone be gone? I think so, because, I see some people say, it's not Boone's fault. What do you want him to do? I just feel that if you're Boone, if it was going to happen by now, it would have happened by now, because the talent has been there. 2017 was fun. I know Boone wasn't there, but 2017 was fun. 2017 was a great time. Again, sorry, I know.
No, it wasn't that fun for not always. Not for me.
I know. Well, I think when we're done here, I'm going to go watch Brett Gardner versus Cody Allen. Sorry, but 13 pitches. From a Yankee perspective, 2017 was fun, but it's not cute anymore to go to the ALCS and play the Astros to the brink. That's not cute or fun anymore. And it's downright embarrassing when you go to the ALCS and you get downright swept and none of the games are particularly close. That's not fun anymore. And it's not cute to, finish in second place behind the Rays. It's not cute to have the Blue Jays give you all. And I just feel like if it was going to happen right now, it would have happened.
And it ain't cute to let Boston come in and just whitewash you in Yankees.
Yeah, that's never good.
That's like the ultimate low.
Look, I've said ultimate low at several points for Yankees this season. Whether it was dropping 2 or 3 in Colorado, whether it was blowing a 6-1 lead to the Marlins in Miami, whether it was getting swept by somebody bad. I've said that, so whether it was dropping a game to Oakland.
It wasn't when your announcer got hit that John Sterling got hit by the foul ball.
Oh, poor Sterling. I love that guy.
Yankees win. He hasn't said that a lot this year. Yankees win.
Not as often, because I like to think to myself, like, I look around, I go, okay, they're at 500 this year. We Yankee fans, I tell my friends who are also Yankee fans, like, you guys, we wouldn't last a single summer in Pittsburgh, where it's like, somewhere like Pittsburgh, where it's like, you're 45 and 70 by September 1st, and we're up in arms about a 500 team, and meanwhile Pittsburgh's been doing 30 games under 500 by Independence Day since like 1992. No, they had
since Sid Bream got.
Yes, that's right, Sid Bream. I know they had a few years of glory there with country and whatnot. To answer the original question about Robert Saleh, by the way, I do think he is the guy. I think in a mental sense, he's the guy, because he's the rare combination of a player's coach that holds his men accountable, which is like the perfect thing you can ask for in this day and age. And it's particularly risky. I'm eager to see Saleh kind of make it work. It's risky to hire a defensive-minded coach in this day and age in the NFL, because, again, they worship fantasy football. You touch the quarterback, it's 15 yards. You look at the receiver the wrong way, suddenly you're 40 yards downfield. We're doing ref stuff now. You look at the receiver the wrong way, it's a 40-yard spot of the foul pass interference penalty. If you're lucky, you get away with holding. So I feel that was a risk, but Saleh has kind of make it work. Now, whether he gets the results, that remains to be seen. If anyone on the Jets has a make or break case this year, it's probably Saleh, because, again, Douglas is probably safe, I feel anyway. I feel he should be, because, again, he brought this group together. He cultivated someone who can work for not only the man under center for the Jets now, but someone who's under center for the Jets later. So what Douglas has done there has been very good. Now it's up to Saleh to kind of make that work. So now he has the pieces. Now he has the right personnel in place. It's all whether he's able. It's all whether he's capable of working that town. Now he's and these past few years were good for him, because to again bring up Aaron Boone, like I felt bringing Aaron Boone, who had no managerial experience on. After the 2017 season, that was like giving, an Ewok the keys to the Millennium Falcon or the Death Star. That was a little tough. That was a little weird. Yeah. And we've seen so many, I don't want to call this a super team by any stretch of the imagination, partly because, the players themselves don't like the label super team. We've seen a lot of like improved or teams, a lot of quote unquote preseason favorites hand the keys over to someone with not that much coaching experience. And again, there are anomalies. I mean, Eric Spoelstra proved himself worthy of what happened. again, sorry. Sorry, Cleveland.
It's all right. You're great, Jets. Yeah, you're great. You're great.
You get the point. You get the point. But
Eric Spoelstra is going to. I've always said this. I need Jeff. I need you to validate me here.
Shoot.
Eric Spoelstra is going to be a Hall of Fame coach.
Undoubtedly.
Okay, awesome. Okay, yeah. I always say. I mean, he's
Undoubtedly. I mean,
he gets the Knicks fits too. I know that.
Oh yeah, trust me. One of my other duties is on SI.com's Knicks site, so I know all about that.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah, know all about the Knicks for sure. And again, sorry because what happened beforehand.
We didn't hustle. We didn't try.
Well. Oh, that's the excuse now. You didn't try.
That's what we said. That's what we're saying. We didn't. We got out physical. That, you know what I'm saying? We didn't hustle, and
I gave half the farm for Donovan Mitchell, but you didn't try. Okay, but
that's our excuse, and we're sticking to it.
No, these past few years were good for Saleh because he learned to manage adversity. He learned to be a NFL head coach in the sense. So these past couple of years, even with the lack of talent, even with the relatively low prospects of winning, were good for him. But now is the big time. It's like, okay, you got your wish, and it's either careful what you wish for, or it's what you wanted this whole time. So if anyone on the Jets is in a make or break situation, it's Saleh. And again, mentally, he's the right man. Now it's time to put those results on paper.
Yes, it's kind of like the same thing here in Cleveland, where all they really needed, the missing link, was really the QB.
Yeah,
I mean,
got that now.
Yeah. I look at the Jets and the Browns, very similar. They got great defenses because and then you look at the quarterback play. It comes down to if Rodgers is as advertised, you guys should be very successful. If Deshaun Watson can get back to where he was in Houston, we should be very successful as well. And like I said, I don't know if it wins the division, but we should be playoff teams, and maybe we'll meet each other in the playoffs. That'd be fun.
I mean, time will only tell. That would produce some interesting ratings. That would be, Jets Browns doesn't often end well for the Jets, if I recall correctly.
That's the one New York team we can kind of beat. So I kind of like that.
Yeah, I mean, look, I say this from experience. Covering the New York Liberty for the past 6 years. Even the Cleveland Rockers had some trouble with
the Rockers, 93 Eastern Conference champions. I'm glad you mentioned them. They were a fun team.
When the Indians are changing the name, I'm like, wow, Cleveland Rockers is the best name. Change it to that, please.
I agree. Yeah, championship aspirations behind that too as well. But Jeff, I know you cover, and I want to dabble into this a little bit, but I know you cover high school sports in the state of New Jersey. Now, as a Buckeye, I graduated from Ohio State, and back in the day, we had Stanley Jackson, who was a quarterback from Patterson. It was during like 1995 in the Cooper era.
Right.
So I know New Jersey is a hotbed for high school sports, and it's getting only better in football. And then with Rutgers obviously joining the Big Ten, that's going to help and everything like that. So I love the state of New Jersey high school sports. Give us the landscape of it. Is it becoming like what I'm saying? I'm not crazy for saying what I'm saying, am I?
Oh no, you're not at all. And you kind of can't ask me that question because I'm biased. I'm an alum of Don Bosco Prep and played for the football team. I played for the football team over there. Okay. It was nothing big. They put me in blowouts or whatnot.
That's okay. Hey,
it was good. It was good. Dabbled in long snapping too. That's okay. That was my claim to fame. Yeah. That was kind of my claim to fame for a while there. But you're absolutely right about that. So I would always get in arguments with people when I went to college at Marist. I'd always argue with I'd have the audacity to argue with Florida folks about.
I don't like them either. Hey, we can agree on that. That when it comes to Ohio and New Jersey, I got your back. Tag team.
No, they're all good people. Don't get me wrong. But we just had that small disagreement. But Ohio does real good too, so I can confirm that yes, it is as it seems there, particularly in North Jersey for sure. Again, I'm biased. I grew up here, so I feel that there really is a passion to it. There really is something fun to it. And when I was on Bosco, we went to Ohio a couple times, played St. Xavier and
Cincinnati, yes, Cincinnati.
Yep, and Centerville. So
Centerville, yeah, they're good, yeah.
Yep, and. My freshman year, I wasn't varsity at the time, but we played Centerville in the Kirk Herbstreit Classic or something along those lines. And when we played St. X, we actually we did our walkthrough at Nippert Stadium. So you guys do tremendous. You guys do tremendous work over there. So definitely props to you for that as well.
Thank you.
So I can confirm, by the way, it is
Herbstreit Classic.
Nice.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
My son and them played in that classic too. They played.
Okay.
No kidding. Whereabouts?
They played my son played for Glenville, and they had played Dwyer on
Oh,
ESPN
nice.
at Ohio State.
Yeah, as
Matter
long
of
as
fact, the quarterback for Dwyer was Jacoby Brissett.
no kidding. Wow. Okay. That's fantastic. Hey, as long as it's not, as long as they weren't playing Bishop Sycamore, we can move on, right?
Oh yeah. Columbus.
Y'all read my mind because I was straight about to bring that up. Now that's the worst of Ohio. That was terrible.
I lived in Columbus. I'm originally from Cleveland. I moved down here when I was 12, and then so I've been in Columbus ever since then. I'm 43, so whatever. But so I've been down here. And when that Sycamore came, I'm like, I know I've been in Columbus. I know all my high school teams. Who is that?
As a Catholic, as someone from a private school, I had to laugh because the funniest part to me was like the Diocese of Columbus said there was never a Bishop Sycamore. That made I was like, well.
Did y'all see the documentary?
I've got to watch that. I got
the documentary on Netflix.
Yeah, BS High, or what was it? BS?
Yeah, BS High. Yeah.
It's on one of HBO, right?
Yeah,
Max. Yeah, actually, it's on Max. It's on Max.
Yep. Right. Yeah. Ooh, Max. First time I ever heard anyone call that. I like that.
And they said the crazy thing is they played IMG. One boy had tore his ACL. They didn't have no training staff.
Jesus.
Man.
Well, they were sharing helmets the whole thing, so I guess safety wasn't their top option over there. So,
no, obviously not. Jeff, I always, every time I have somebody on from the New York area,
sure.
I always like to talk about the 5 boroughs: Queens, Manhattan, Staten, and all of them. When it comes down to the Jets and the Giants, what is it by borough? How where's the allegiance and the alliance with that? Is it an age thing? Is it what separates? What's the line of demarcation?
I mean, look, you're talking to the wrong person in the sense that I lived my entire life in Jersey. So
okay, fair enough.
The best thing I could say is that Queens, operates on the Mets Jets type of deal.
Jets, okay.
Queens definitely does that.
That's the LaGuardia Airport, right? Is that the?
Oh yes, it's absolutely right. And when I attended a couple games at Shea, the Jets from LaGuardia would fly over.
They're always flying over, aren't they?
Yes, that's right. That's right. They would fly over like every half hour or so. So the best way I can answer that question is parental advice shirt comes through. That's how my dad got to me. He got to me at a time when my mother's entire side of the family is Giant fans, but my dad got me to root for another team that was not the Giants, and let's just say it was one of the Giants' biggest rivals. So that was interesting. I mean, look, as a football writer now, it's really gotten me into it's probably the best thing that can happen for me because I can watch every game without losing my mind, at least publicly. But all right, let me clear. It was the Cowboys, but
LeBron James had the same. There you go.
Not anymore. I thought, right?
Yeah, I know he's a Browns fan now.
Yes. I always enjoy football season because that's when LeBron pretends.
Tweets, yeah, he's always tweeting out.
Yes, the best way I can put it as someone from Jersey and who's watched this vicariously for a time, it's Giants and Yankees are more or less intertwined. Jets and Mets are intertwined. In terms of basketball, I would say it's about 80-20 from a Knicks perspective at this point.
Okay.
Because I can never truly forgive the Nets for kind of what they did to Jersey. That's a fan speaking of me. That's a fan speaking of me, obviously. But which is weird because I work in Brooklyn covering the Liberty, and I'm at Barclays Center a lot. So, but is what it is. But in terms of hockey, I said the Islanders should move to Queens. Just paint the whole town blue and orange.
Didn't they get a new arena, the Islanders?
Yes, they did, out in Belmont, and and obviously Long Island Islanders, their thing. And I grew up a lot in Jersey too, so being a Ranger fan was a little tough on my end, but everyone in my family was a fan before the Devils got here, formerly known as first Kansas City Scouts and the Colorado Rockies. So, those were interesting periods growing up for me. But that's the best way I can put it, especially as because I certainly don't want to anger any New Yorkers in the comments, any true New Yorkers in the comments, with whom I respect, who everyone does good work over there. I don't want to disrespect them in the sense by inserting my Jersey point of view into this. So that's the best I can put. I apologize. I can't give a better answer.
Don't the Devils play in Brooklyn?
No. The Devils play in Newark.
Oh, they play in Newark? Okay.
Yep. The Islanders played in Brooklyn for a couple years, and but funnily enough, their locker room got turned into the Liberty's new locker room. So that's interesting.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Now I need your opinion. We like to have fun and that we like sports show, and I'm notorious for telling the worst jokes ever. So I need your blessing, your permission, your whatever your credence with this one. Okay, so if I say this joke, is this okay? Jimmy Hoffa is not a Giants or Jets fan anymore since they moved stadiums because he lost his seating. You know what I'm saying? He lost his season tickets. Is that wrong? Is it wrong?
The worst part about it is that it's dated because
I know because nobody knows. These young kids don't know that.
I'm watching the Giant game last night. And they say MetLife Stadium open for 14 years. I'm like, 14 years this place has been open? I was like,
It's been
what?
open that long?
I could not believe that for the life of me. 14 years.
But you know what? That's about right because the Super Bowl was there in like 13.
That's right. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah,
and let me tell you something about that Super Bowl. That was interesting because
raining and nasty and
that's the thing in terms of the weather. Everyone's like, "Oh, it's going to snow. It's going to be too cold. It's going to be too bad." It was unseasonably warm that day. I think kickoff the temperature was like 54 degrees. It was kind of rainy, and Peyton Manning found that out the hard way the very first play of the game. But it's kind of unfortunate, New York / New Jersey got that Super Bowl, and I feel like right next to the Buccaneers Raiders Super Bowl 37, it's the one Super Bowl we as a football loving public have kind of agreed to exercise from our memories.
Yes, you're right. I agree with that one.
Every Super Bowl I feel has like some specialness to be. Maybe it's because I haven't run into enough Tampa or Oakland / Vegas fans, but I feel like because that was a weird Super Bowl in the sense that in the sense that it was the top offense, top defense meeting. Oakland Center, I think it was Barrett Robbins went AWOL.
Yes, he went AWOL before. That's right. Yep.
And then it started, and Tampa Bay fell behind early, but more or less had control after that. And I feel like that's just the one that we as a football-loving public kind of exercise from our memories a little bit, at least in terms of Super Bowls that have been played in the past 20 years. Because obviously we're not going to talk about all Super Bowls so fondly. I mean, the only time you hear about I don't know, Super Bowl V, the Colts Cowboys Super Bowls, if you're talking
right. Yeah, nobody or the one in Tulane when with the Steelers and was it Minnesota?
Steelers Vikings, yes.
Yeah, 16-6. That was the Superdome wasn't done yet, and it was nasty weather, and it was all
Yes, and even the one before that, the Dolphins beating on the Vikings. No one talked. At least the one before that, when they were playing when they were playing Washington, they at least that one was the Dolphins' perfect season, and Gary Apremian's attempt at
that play that they always show.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Every time.
Every Super Bowl has some kind of pageantry, whether it be even like in blowouts when the Washington beat Denver.
Yes,
I knew because of 42-10, but it had something to it at Jack Murphy Stadium. It had some pageant. But you're right, the MetLife one with the Seahawks and obviously the Broncos. Nobody wants to ever remember that.
It's in the sense that I think people were shocked at how much it was blown out. I mean, the funny thing about Super Bowls around here, no one talks about that one that the Giants went to in 35.
Against the Ravens.
Yes, no one wants to talk about that one around here because because obviously the defeat. But even that has its sense of pageantry to it because. There was that point in the third quarter when there were like 3 touchdowns scored in the span of like 30 seconds.
Right.
I forget who got the ball.
Jim Fossil was the coach, right, of the Giants.
Yes, he was. He actually passed away recently.
I know. Yeah, rest in peace. He was a good man. I liked him.
He was, and it was interesting about that team too because I think they had just lost to a very bad Detroit team. I know how little that narrows it down, but the Lions are good now, so what do we care? And he guaranteed they go to the playoffs, and they made it all the way to the title game. And then they dismantled the Vikings in that NFC title game the week beforehand. And then in that Super Bowl, I forget who had the Baltimore touchdown, but then I remember Ron Dixon takes the ensuing kickoff back, and it was Jermaine Lewis on the other side.
Yeah.
Yep. So, and again, sorry, I know the wounds of the Ravens back then were kind of still fresh from a Cleveland perspective at that point.
We're trying to get over it. We got to move on. We got a fresh new start, just like the Jets. Hey, just like the Jets, you got Aaron Rodgers. You got a fresh start. You're looking for championship glory. Go back to the Broadway Joe days when you had that Super Bowl and Super Bowl III. That was great, and hopefully the Browns can get there. But yeah, I think that the past has been painful for us Jets and Browns fans, but that doesn't mean the future has to be. And that's what's fun about the NFL, and that's what's fun. I'm so glad that we had you on, Geoff, and everything like that. Is there anything that you want to plug before we get out of here? Because like I said, you've been one of our best guests. I could talk to you forever. We're talking about these Super Bowls. We seem to know everything but plays. I mean, you're one of those guys that I hope to have you on again, or I'm gonna have you on again, because this has been wonderful.
Well, I appreciate that. I appreciate that so much. That just made my day. And I'm glad we had that Super Bowl talk. It's another reminder that I'm in desperate need of a social life. So thank you for that. The only thing I can truly plug for myself, follow me on Twitter, or X as it's known
I'm
now.
going to follow you, by the way. I got to do that, so I will follow you.
Sure. I'll follow each of you. It's at Geoff J. Mags. Have it in the little bar there. I'll also follow my work on si.com/Knicks. And he's doing it right now. Look at that. But appreciate all you guys. Keep up the great work. And I would love to do this again in the future.
Absolutely. And with all the Cleveland, New York connections, we will see each other on some kind of field, and we'll have you on the show. You've been I'm going to put you as number one guest, Geoff Magliochetti. Is it Magliochetti?
Oh my God, you nailed it. No one ever does that. Oh
yes. Now my day has been made, Geoff.
Yes, now was definitely meant to be, if you're pronouncing the last name right. The last name where if you put that on the triple word box in Scrabble, you win the game automatically. You don't bother after that.
Well, unfortunately for me, as being a Cleveland baseball fan, when I see Maglio, I think Maglio Ordonez, and it kind of you know what I'm saying? So I had to get that right.
I was called that for a while in his heyday as a member of the White Sox. I was called that a few times. Yes.
Okay, lovely. But thanks for being on here, everybody. Follow at Geoff Magliochetti. What a great guy, and he knows his stuff. So thanks for being on, and we will talk to you soon, my guy.
Appreciate you guys. Keep up the great work.
Thank you.
All right, have a good one.
You too, sir.
What a great guy. That was awesome. I mean, I could speak to that guy forever. At 6:36, I could talk to that guy forever. Vince, Peyton, whoever you are, CJ, tell us what did you think about it? That guy was great.
Yeah, that guy was cool. He's fun. That's what happens when you get a good guy on. He just goes.
He just goes, and it's fun. And I get entranced when he talks, and it's usually I like to talk.
I've never seen Ed so excited.
I'm excited, but Keith, your thoughts about Geoff?
Good guy. Even though I do think that the Super Bowl a bust for the Jets, for real.
You know what? I think that too. You know what though? I think as a Jets fan, just like we are as Browns fans, you're always going to be cautiously, because you don't want to. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of new to them. They're a downtrodden franchise, and But I do think Aaron Rodgers. I don't think it's just a 1-year deal. I think he'll play at least 2 years for tops there. So maybe he's thinking, get the 10 wins this year, get the playoff, experience.
Yeah, but I think I don't know. I kind of agree with Keith. I think it is Super Bowl. I think a 10-7 year for the Jets.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean,
you got to think.
Telling
you got
me
a defense.
10-7 if you're Rodgers, I just
Jets. Yeah, that's kind of.
I was thinking about it, but I didn't. The negative Browns fan in me. So, where's the team gonna go wrong? I'm thinking, the Jets got a good line. You got Cook, you got Hall, you got good receivers, you got great defense.
You got
so if you don't do this,
Yeah, and you might think about
people lose their jobs over stuff like that.
I was just about to say,
brought Hackett in.
Yes,
it's gotta be.
That's where I was at. Because
AFC Championship or bust if you're the Jets, maybe.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
You're telling me 10-7? That's wild card territory,
Yeah. But he did say he thinks they're going to win the division, though. He did say that.
Can you win the division at 10-7 East with the Bills and the Dolphins?
No, well,
that's
no. You're going
to look good yesterday.
He did.
I
had Tyreek Hill on my fantasy team, and so I know.
I think there's a lot of good teams in the AFC. I know
it's 12-5.
You got us. AFC. I think we're a good team. I think the Ravens are still solid. Pittsburgh always finds a way to hang around 500. The Bengals are good. The Bills are good. The Dolphins are good. The Jets are good. You go out west. The Chiefs, you got to pencil them in. Somebody's going to make it from the South. Probably the Jags. The Chargers are good.
Chargers, and they are.
Yeah.
A 10-7 season.
Well, they get it. You know what though? They got
to.
Jets need to win tonight against the Bills. That's just like the Browns needed to beat the Bengals at home because it's a division. The Jets really need to win tonight. I'm not gonna say it's a must.
You got to start with a good taste in your mouth. You're trying to get this Rodgers off. I mean, you go out there, you lay an egg. It's wet. The weather's sloppy.
Yep.
Neither team's really, running a team that you think, they run the ball.
Yeah.
I just. Trying to see something real fast.
You're right. And hey, shout out to Sean right here with our guy Sean.
Oh, yeah.
Great guest. Yeah, absolutely, Sean. We appreciate that. Thanks for commenting. Absolutely.
Yeah, because I think it's like now or never, because you never know year to year. For real. And it ain't like Aaron Rodgers is like Deshaun's age 27. He's 38, about to be 39.
Yeah. Well, I just think, like I said, I think he's got high hopes, just like we do for our Browns. But but one thing, I think we underestimate how good the Browns are, and we saw it yesterday. I think maybe he underestimates the Jets. They got a really good defense, and with Garrett Wilson,
you don't want to put it. Yeah, I think Super Bowl or bust are tough expectations to do, right? I think we felt that after we made the AFC title game and Baker got. But you saw that, right? If you don't live up to Super Bowl, Super Browns. You don't live up to that, guys are out. Baker was out.
He out.
Yeah, Salah got to get it done this year because
that's why I kind of wanted to ask him. Not who's the fall guy, but who's the weak link. What's the cause for concern? And
that's
with us, I think it. Kevin Stefanski's play calling. That's our biggest cause for concern every week.
Yeah,
especially now Cade York's gone.
You can't point the fingers nowhere else now.
Yeah, I feel good about the offense and the defense, so it's got to come down to Watson and play calling. I'm kind of stuck with Watson if he doesn't work out that contract.
Yeah, even though Conklin is gone for the year and DeJuan
Jones was good yesterday.
Yeah,
this guy's
right tackle.
I agree. I took notes today, and I'll be remiss to do it. Let's go around the NFL real quick. I'm gonna go through each game, and you just tell me one quick thing that you okay. So we had the Lions beat the Chiefs 21-20. My take was Kadarius Toney was the best player for the Lions.
I thought, I think the Chiefs are going to be interesting. I think we're going to get to really see how good Patrick Mahomes is. That receiving core, you're seeing how valuable Kelsey and Chris Jones are.
Absolutely, Keith. What do you got for that game?
And Chris Jones just came back too today.
Yeah.
He just came back. So now Patrick Mahomes probably got his fingers crossed praying that Kelsey comes back because you really think about it last week, Mahomes did all he could. He can't catch the ball.
Mahomes was great, but they couldn't,
I agree. Falcons beat the Panthers 24-10. My takeaway, Bryce Young, one touchdown too. But here's the thing with these young quarterbacks: 20 of 38, 146 yards. They're not getting the average per attempt, and I don't like that. Bijan Robinson looked good, 10 carries, 56
I think
yards.
Arthur Smith is hilarious. You have Drake London, Kyle Pitts, Bijan Robinson, and he's giving the ball to Tyler Algier. I don't know what the fuck with the Falcons, but I think it's hilarious.
Keith, what do you got on that game? Anything?
Nothing much on the Falcons. I know
it's pretty boring. All right, we'll move it on. Obviously,
and
Browns
Carolina gonna suck too. So
yeah. Browns 24, Bengals 3. We hit on that one really good. Jaguars 31, Colts 21. My takeaway is Calvin Ridley's back with 8 catches, 101 yards, and a touchdown. Looked really good. But I like Anthony Richardson. I mean, he was 24-37, 223 yards. He had a touchdown, interception. He was sacked 4 times. But of the quarterbacks, I think he stood the tallest. He is the tallest. But he didn't look so overwhelmed, and the Colts kind of were in that game.
I think Michael Pittman might be. I think Michael Pittman might be the most underrated receiver in football.
Oh,
like I just think Michael Pittman might be the most. I would love to see the Colts with Jonathan Taylor right now. I think that's going to hurt them really bad not having him. But I think if the Colts had Taylor, I think the Colts would be frisky in the South.
Yeah.
I agree. Okay. All right. Buccaneers 20, Vikings 17 with the upset, I think, of the day. And Baker Mayfield 21 of 34, only 173 yards, 2 touchdowns. So Justin Jefferson had a nice game, 9 catches, 150 yards. But the Vikings couldn't get that offense going and couldn't get in the end zone in that game.
Do the Vikings miss Dalvin Cook?
I think they do.
Yeah.
The Bucks. I think the Bucks. If the Bucks can keep being squirrely, I think the NFC South is wide open. I think
I
those
think
are four bad teams,
They
and
always
if
seem
Anybody can win that division.
I think the
Yes.
Bucks could be a little squirrely. They got a good defense. They got to figure out how to run the ball.
yeah.
But Bucks could be squirrely.
Plus, this might be a make or break year for Todd Bowles too. So
I think this is definitely a make or break. I think. Todd Bowles.
Yeah.
He struggled last year.
Well, we'll stay in the NFC South as the Saints get a 16-15 win over the Titans in probably one of the most boringest games besides the Falcons. Oh, there were actually a lot of boring games. Let's be real.
Ryan Tannehill.
Ryan Tannehill. Yeah, D-Hop had 7 catches, 65 yards. Derek Carr, 305 yards. He looked, I guess, okay. But to your point, Tannehill looked pretty bad.
I think they're both. I just think they're bad teams. I think the Saints might be the best of the bad teams in the South. Tannehill looked like shit.
Yep.
Yeah, the Saints
it'll
can't
probably
move
be
on.
Will Levis time sooner than you think.
I think so, but the Titans have given me no indication that they know what they're doing at quarterback. Like with
I know they draft.
like
I know
Wills was
Yeah.
weird. Like they brought
Yeah.
Dobbs in. I just don't know what the Titans do. I love Mike Vrabel. I think Mike Vrabel was an awesome coach.
Yep.
But you got to figure out quarterback, man. You can't keep rolling Ryan Tannehill out there and keep rolling rookies that are free falling in the draft out there.
Right.
Well, here's next game is the real Peyton Vince, not so special. 49ers 30, Steelers 7.
That game was an ass kicking.
Yes, it was.
I think Brock Purdy's legit. I think
Brock Purdy is legit.
The Steelers might have been like the preseason frauds. Like there's a lot of hype coming on, and there usually is like that one team that Steelers. They looked like shit. Najee Harris looks slow. They didn't run the ball. That offense looks clueless. They look like they do the same thing every time. They'll throw a couple shots to Pickens that he makes sweet catches that aren't catches. Harris gets caught on like a 1 yard out.
Well, you got the 4th best quarterback and the 4th best running back in the division, if you really think about it, before Dobbins went down. So
yeah. Well,
Steelers are a weird team right now to me.
I agree. Well, let's go to another boring game. Commanders 20, Cardinals 16.
They both stink.
I mean, we got Dobbs 132 yards. Sam Howell 202 yards, was sacked 6 times, even though in victory. I ain't got much. I don't even know what to say.
That's the what's my guy name at USC, the quarterback?
Caleb Williams.
That's the Caleb Williams Bowl. That's
Fair
the
enough.
Caleb Williams Bowl.
Fair enough.
I hope Caleb Williams goes to Washington. Sam Howell, he's Baker Mayfield without the commercial. Somebody said that, and I saw that laugh so hard.
Because I'm going to say this. Washington's going to probably have a bad year, and they're going to probably fire
Ron Rivera.
Now, it'll be interesting who they might tab as the next head coach. Could be Lincoln Riley if they get the first pick.
I could see that. I think Washington's going to be bad. I think Arizona's going to be bad.
And Arizona,
I think they're both going to be bad.
Well,
Washington finds a way to win games though somehow.
They do, and they do.
Yeah.
Absolutely right. You're right.
They're a weird team.
It's like you look at them like they're terrible, but they figure something out.
Yeah,
I
think Rivera is he's like the best bad coach to me.
Fair enough. That's a great.
He's the best bad coach.
That's great. Speaking of going over a little bit to the charm city of Baltimore, Ravens 25, Texans 9. CJ Stroud. I knew that Ravens would win. CJ Stroud, obviously being a rookie, obviously 28 of 44, 242 yards, sacked 5 times as a rookie. I mean, OBJ though, 2 catches, 37 yards. Lamar Jackson, 17 of 22, 169 yards with 1 interception. He was sacked 4 times. That Ravens offense didn't look that good, fellas.
No, losing Dobbins, I think, is going to be big.
Yeah,
that's going to be tough right there.
I
now
think
you
the
put
Texans
the
right
back on
now.
Lamar.
Yeah, the Texans got some guys I like on offense. I think that's a bad defense. I honestly could not name a single person on the Texans defense. I think that's a bad defense.
You mean TJ Watt don't play for them anymore? Or JJ Watt don't play for them anymore?
That's a bad defense.
Yeah, that is a horrible. Now, this game right here, it didn't shock me, but it kind of did. But if you're a Bears fan,
I'm gonna
that
say this
shocked
the
me.
Texans.
That game shocked me.
The Texans are also in the what's my dude name down in Columbus, the receiver?
Fuck, they did draft?
He's probably gonna be the second pick. He's probably gonna be the second pick.
Oh, Marvin Harrison.
Oh, Marvin Harrison.
They're in the Marvin Harrison.
Oh, didn't the Texans traded their pick to Arizona to move up and get Will Anderson?
Oh well,
Arizona got their pick and the Texans.
Well, he's going to Arizona then.
You met Arizona. I mean, I know they're stuck with that Murray contract, but if Arizona gets the number one pick, are you looking? Could they package and get Harrison and Williams? That could be. That's a duo.
Well, yeah, absolutely. But going back to the what I was saying about the Bears fans, they remind me of Browns fans. They come into the season with high hopes, and they think Justin Fields is going to be all that. And Justin Fields was horrible yesterday. He was sacked 4 times, threw a bad pick 6 interception. But Jordan Love, the story of the day for the Packers, 15 to 27, 245 and 3 touchdowns. The Pack goes into Soldier Field 38-20 and kind of resets how that division, I think, is going to play out the rest of the year.
Yeah, I like Detroit the most in that division still. Minnesota was a letdown. I think Minnesota – I'm nervous about Minnesota. I know it's week 1. I'm nervous about Minnesota now. The Bears, he threw the ball like 40 times, Fields. What are you doing?
I don't know.
What are you doing?
What are you doing? What are you doing? Well,
I'm not putting them in a chance to succeed. That wasn't my biggest shocker of the weekend.
Okay. All right. Well, maybe we'll find out what your biggest shocker is. We're going to move on to another boring game, unfortunately. Raiders 17, Broncos 16. Jimmy G was efficient, 20 of 26, 2 touchdowns, but Russell Wilson, he was efficient too, 27 of 34, only 177 yards. 2 touchdowns. Yeah, I don't know what was going on with that game. I mean, like I said, a lot of boring games in week 1, and this one definitely is one of them as well.
Yeah, I think
this time might be limited as a starter too.
I think I think Denver is. I know they're tied up with that Denver's going to be bad for a while with that contract.
I think you're right. So you're saying it's Broncos country and they ain't cooking there.
Listen. I got it on the board up there. I say it every day. Let's ride.
Okay, fair enough.
They're not riding.
But you ride. Yeah, they're not riding.
I say Broncos country. Let's ride 10 times a day. But Denver's not riding. Denver's not going anywhere.
Okay, fair enough. But CJ's riding. He rides with trophies too.
I believe in Broncos country, but
okay. Well, the big CBS game yesterday, which I watched, came down to the final drive. Eagles 25, Patriots 20, with Mac Jones going over 316 yards and 3 touchdowns. Couldn't get it done late with the Eagles defense, but that was a pretty good game. Hurts, 22 of 30, 370 yards and a touchdown. I think once again, Patriots they impressed me a little bit because they stay in games, but that's the Belichick effect. I don't think they have that much talent. You look at the Jets, the Dolphins, and the Bills have way more talent than they do. I think they're a solid team, the Patriots, but they're not dynamic. There's nobody that I look at like, wow, that's a they
got a bad skill position group.
Yeah,
the Patriots can't run the ball. I think they're tough. I think Mac's going to play better with O'Brien there, and I thought Mac played pretty good last night. But if they can't run the ball, I think they're going to struggle. If they can run the ball well with Stevenson, and I know they got Zeke in there.
Yep.
If they could run the ball well, they could be a wild card team or beat some teams in the East, I think. But you can't put it on Mac Jones. Mac Jones needs some help around him.
I agree. Yeah, because who's his number one receiver? Who's their number one receiver?
I think Kendrick Bourne had a big game last night.
Yeah,
he was the guy, and I know they got Juju. Yeah. But
and they got Hunter Henry.
Yeah, and Gesicki.
These
you're not winning with these guys,
right? I mean,
not at all. Not at all.
Well, one of the most dynamic games I think of the weekend. Dolphins 36, Chargers 34. Tua 466 yards, 3 touchdowns. Tyreek Hill, I know because he's on my fantasy team with 215 yards and 2 touchdowns. Herbert, okay, game 22 of 33, 228 yards and a touchdown. Obviously, the winner was minute 45 to go. Hill touchdown from Tua. What a great game! Dolphins go out there and get a big victory. I think they're for real, fellas.
I think the Dolphins are for real. I love Justin Herbert, but I think he's the most overrated guy in the NFL.
Thank you.
I think he's so overrated.
These MVP talks and things like that. Are you serious?
I'm just going to say Herbert is like the modern Dan Fouts.
Yes, he throws right, but he's not going to win, I don't think.
He doesn't win.
Yeah.
He doesn't win.
He's never going to win.
And I'll also say this about Tua. If that young man can stay healthy, he might be a dark horse MVP
Wow,
He
so
was an
cool.
MVP candidate last year. So I would love to see what Miami could do if they could actually run the ball.
Yeah.
You know, you got the ghost of Ricky Mostert and Jeff Wilson back
Do
there.
they trade for Jonathan Taylor?
I would.
I would.
I would.
I'm not giving up a first if I'm Miami.
No. Maybe I'd give up a second.
I would just love to see Miami find a guy.
Yeah.
I would just love to see Miami find a guy. I know Eckler was a guy like early in the year. They were talking he was unhappy there.
Right.
Like, I would love to see Miami like find like an Austin Eckler.
I agree. All right. Well, we got to go out to Seattle with the Rams.
This was my shocker.
Okay,
That
this was your shocker.
Yeah.
Stafford 334 yards, and you know what? The Rams held the ball for 30 minutes and 23 seconds. They dominated that game with a bunch of I don't know who
I thought the Rams couldn't run the ball at all, but like the way that like they just got the Rams, like it was one of the things you look down at that score. If you were to tell me the Rams were going to beat the Seahawks by 17 and hang 30 on them.
Yeah.
And fucking Puka Nacua and Tutu Atwell were going to go off.
Right. Who are these guys?
Give Sean McVay everything.
And Seattle got some problems on the line because they lost 2 of their linemen yesterday, too.
Yeah.
2 of their tackles.
Yeah,
because they're supposed to compete with the 49ers.
I would have thought like Van Jefferson was going to have a huge game. But yeah,
right.
if they can hang around the Rams and they get Cooper Kupp back and that defense is really good still, that front, I know there's some questions in the back end.
Right.
I think the Rams could be a really interesting team. Because I think the NFC's outside of like Philly and San Francisco, I think the rest is wide open. That's why, you put Detroit in that echelon.
Right. Because look at Minnesota. You thought they were going to be in. Yeah, I would agree with that. And the last but not least, we got to go down the beatdown, the murder at MetLife. Cowboys 40, Giants 0. I don't. The only thing I have to say
about them Cowboys?
I turned the game on. It was 33-0.
I looked out. I went into it. I take the Cowboys. I love the Cowboys defense for fantasy because they forced Jones to get to the quarterback. It was one of those things. It was like 9:30. I was playing Madden. I looked down at my phone. I was like, "Why the fuck how am I up?" I had the Cowboys. Dude, the Cowboys defense.
How about
awesome.
them Cowboys?
I think the Cowboys.
Jerry
they're
Jones
another team in the
stay
West.
out the way and let my man do what he's supposed to do. McCartney do what he's supposed to do. I think Dallas can go a long way. And Dak, all he got to do is be efficient.
I think Dak is, when you look at teams in the NFL, I think Dak is the most important guy to the Cowboys. If Dak cannot turn the football over, the Cowboys got a shot to go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah,
he was 13 of 24, 143 yards. Nothing special, but he didn't have a big turn. Yeah,
well, you don't gotta be. You don't gotta be every week.
Yeah. Yep.
I think Dak is the most important guy to his team. If he can just stay out of the way, not turn the ball over, Cowboys can go to the Super Bowl.
Run it with Pollard, stay healthy, and not turn the ball over.
Run it with Pollard, who had 14 carries, 70 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And that defense had 7 sacks on Danny Dimes. Danny Dimes was running all for his life.
And that's a pretty good Giants O-line.
Yeah.
Like, that's a pretty good Giants O-line.
And they made them look like silly putty.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that was fun. So we went around the NFL. We'll do one more segment before we get off because this is dedicated to Casey. We always like to do a time hop 2004. Now, we know 2004 was the last time the Browns won a home opener against the Ravens. We've talked about it many times. So I tried to come up with something that we can talk about. So maybe I'll go with CJ. I'll give you the trivia question here, okay? Obviously, 2004, George W. Bush is the president. Dick Cheney's the vice president. It's an election year. Who is his opponent in 2004?
John Kerry.
John Kerry. Bingo, we got it right. All right. Bingo.
Secretary of State. I teach history, Ed. Come on.
I didn't know.
I teach social studies.
I didn't know. My goodness. All right. Well, that was too easy and too fun. But hey, you got it right.
Like the one time Casey got his fucking Musha Muhammad.
Yeah, what was that?
Scrambling.
That was that I don't know. He's doing that, but this was a fun show, fellas. I really enjoyed this one.
Yeah, it was great. I thought Jeff was great. I love having him. I'd love to get Jeff back on when the Knicks come around.
Okay, all right. Well, we'll definitely get him back on. But I think what we're gonna do is format it where we do go around the NFL. I like this. It's very quick. Everybody's watched the games from yesterday and said that. So you know what I'm saying. So we'll do that from now on. It'll be fun. Ooh. But all right. So we'll do this. Keith, final thoughts here.
Final thoughts, and I can get up out of here. I'm about to start Man Mondays.
Okay.
Hey, savor the Browns' first win, but tomorrow it's time to take on the Pittsburgh Squillers. Excuse me. I ain't mean to curse or nothing like that, but
Hey, no
is
no
what it
FCC.
is.
There's no FCC here. Don't worry about
If
it.
you would have seen what my son sent me, he sent a picture of him in the stadium, in our stadium, talking about I shouldn't have pissed on the ground, on the field.
Oh, jeez.
I pissed. I'll never forget. My brothers played a tournament in Pittsburgh for baseball. We went and watched them. That's probably probably 15 years ago. And I got to take a piss on Heinz Field,
Oh,
right on the
Oh,
building.
that's
And
a
it was the
beautiful
greatest thing.
thing.
I mean,
That's a beautiful
PNC Park,
thing.
beautiful. Love PNC Park.
Oh, I
Right.
love PNC Park.
Beautiful.
Yes.
Heinz Field was the best toilet I ever got to use.
Yes. But
Well,
anyway, like I said, and I told him that's what you Schittsburg Squiller fans get. And you're going to get more next Monday.
Yeah, I
Fair
didn't really
enough.
put it on him.
fair enough.
Yes.
CJ, final thoughts.
Would love to talk a little more college football because college football is my favorite.
Oh, we got to talk Colorado. Shout out to Prime. Yes, absolutely.
Shout out
We
to
will
Prime.
hit on
Shout
that.
out to Prime. But I got to
Texas
get up
over
out of
Alabama.
here.
Texas
Texas
over
back?
Alabama.
Keith, before you go, is Texas back?
Huh?
Is Texas
Yes.
back?
Yeah, they're
Texas-
back. They're back with our quarterback.
Yeah,
Texas will be back until they lose to somebody random in week
Right.
7. They lose on the road at Texas Tech.
That's
Check out, they back with our quarterback.
Yeah.
He should have been at OSU right now.
Well,
I wouldn't have these worries right now about Notre Dame.
I can't top that. That was great, CJ. You know what? Once again, I want to thank everybody for joining us. I want to thank my co-hosts Keith and CJ. Great job, fellas. And
Good to be back.
we'll do it again. Hey, everybody out there, we like sports. We hope you enjoy sports. Whoever your team is, root for them, root hard, have fun doing it. We'll catch you back next Monday at 5:30. Peace, and everybody have a great week. And,
you gotta throw it
I
up.
can't even do it myself.
I know he's got to forget that, baby.
Awesome. Thank you, sir. And everybody, have a great night, and we'll see you next week.
No, yeah, that guy fucking